So what if you could remember pretty much anything you learn, like precisely, even under pressure, and all without needing your notes? Today we're going to break down a really powerful system designed to do just that. It's called the integrated recall method, and it was developed by a commercial lawyer named Ben Lee.
And this quote, man, it just gets right to the heart of the matter. We've all been there, right? You spend hours studying something, you feel like you totally get it, but then, a day later, poof, it's just gone. This isn't some personal failure on your part, it's a system failure. You're trying to use your brain for something it wasn't really designed for.
And that brings us to a super critical distinction. You see, when you just reread your notes, you create this illusion that you know something. You recognize it on the page and think, yep, got it. But that's passive. It's just familiarity. And when you're in a meeting or an exam or you're trying to make a point, recognition is totally useless. What you need is active recall, that ability to pull information straight out of your head on command.
And that is exactly what the integrated recall method, or IRM for short, is built for. It's a whole system, broken down into three main parts. You've got IRM-C for concepts, which uses a mental journey through an airport. Then there's IRM-N for numbers, which uses a shopping mall. And finally, IRM-S, which is the simple daily practice that makes it all stick.
Okay, so first, let's really unpack this core problem. Why is remembering stuff so hard in the first place?
Here's the thing you gotta understand. Our brains evolved for navigating the real physical world, not for abstract ideas. So when you learn a concept like consideration and contract law, what does that look like? What does it feel like? Nothing, right? It's just an abstract thought, and your brain basically has no hook to hang it on. So naturally, it just fades away. And that brings us to the first part of the solution. And it's a brilliant technique for locking in those abstract concepts. It uses a place you already know inside and out, an airport.
So the system uses these 10 predefined zones that follow a universal airport journey. And here's the absolute magic of it. You don't have to memorize this route. You already know it. You've walked it a dozen times. It's basically a pre-built memory palace that's already sitting in your head, and the sequence is totally automatic.
All right, let's see how this actually works. We'll use a real-world example. The basic principles of contract law. So we start our mental journey at the very first zone, the taxi drop-off. Now to remember the concept of offer and acceptance, you don't just write it down. No. You build a vivid, kind of absurd physical image in your mind. So imagine a massive golden statue of two clasped hands blocking the entire drop-off area. You literally have to duck under the wrists to get by. It's weird, it's physical, and you're interacting with it. Your brain just can't help but remember that.
Okay, so we've made it past the taxi drop-off. We walk through the automatic doors and head to Zone 3, the check-in counters. What kind of unforgettable image could we place here?
This is just brilliant. To lock in the concept, intention to create legal relations, you picture every single check-in agent wearing a judge's wig, and before they hand you your boarding pass, slam, they bang a gavel on the counter. The image is specific, it's got sound, it's totally bizarre, it's gonna stick.
All right, let's jump ahead in our journey. We've gone through security, we've boarded the plane, and now we're at Zone 9, the overhead compartment.
And this right here shows you just how flexible the system is. For vitiating factors, which are things that can make a contract invalid, you imagine opening the compartment and seeing it totally stuffed with these red files labeled misrepresentation, duress, mistake, and there's a note that says, these will undo everything below. It's one powerful image that perfectly groups several related ideas together.
Okay, so that's how we handle concepts. But what about numbers? I mean, they're even more abstract. For that, we're going to leave the airport and head to another place you know really well, the shopping mall.
The very first step to remembering a number is to make it, well, not a number. The IRM uses this really simple cipher to turn every digit from 0 to 9 into a letter. So 0 becomes Z, 1 is A, 2 is B, and so on. This is basically the secret code that unlocks the whole system for numbers.
So how does this work in practice? Let's take the number 52,000. First, you just focus on the key digits, 52. Then you apply the cipher. 5 becomes E, 2 becomes B. Those initials, EB, become a concrete object, an ebony board. And finally, you place that object in Zone E, which stands for the escalator. You picture a heavy, polished ebony board replacing the handrail. It's solid, you can feel it, and it's completely unforgettable.
And the best part is, the mall route already comes with 100 of these pre-built, totally wild and memorable images. For the number 24, there's a bulldog baker stamping bags with its paw. For 42, you've got a bear made of diamonds throwing rainbows.
For 75, a giant eel wearing a staff lanyard. These aren't just random images, they're a permanent, ready-to-go filing system for every number from 00 to 99.
Okay, so you've built these incredible mental routes in your head, but how do you make sure they don't just fade away? This is where the last and maybe most important part of the system comes in.
I love this quote. It's such a powerful reminder that memory isn't a one-and-done event. It's a living process. You can't just build the route and then expect it to be there forever. The act of retrieving the memory is what maintains it. You have to walk the path to keep it clear.
And the great news is, the maintenance is so simple. It's a quick 10-minute daily practice. In the morning, for like 5 minutes, you just mentally walk your routes. In the evening, for a minute or two, you add one new thing. Then on Sunday, you do a quick 5-minute review. That's it. It's that act of walking the route from memory that makes those neural pathways stronger and stronger.
So we've looked at the problem, and we've walked through this really elegant solution for both concepts and numbers. Now let's talk about how you can start using this like today.
Here are 4 simple steps to build your very first route. First, split your material up. Concepts go to the airport, numbers go to the mall. Second, assign one item per zone, in the right order. Third, and this is key, build one super specific, vivid image that actually interacts with that zone. And finally, just walk the route in your mind a couple times.
And the final piece of advice from the author is just so direct and powerful. Don't try to memorize everything all at once. Start small. Just pick one topic, one framework, one set of numbers you need to know. Build one route, and do it this week. This system really puts you in control of what you remember. It turns learning from something passive and frustrating into a process that's active, creative, and totally reliable. So, the only question left is, what will you choose to remember first?